Welcome back. Friends, we are discussing the role of analytics in supply chain. Analytics in supply chain, title of this very course. Now let us discuss that what are the different types of analytical approaches which are possible and what type of decisions these different analytical approaches will help us in case of supply chain. Now you can divide the analytics into these three types of analytics: descriptive analytics, predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. In this session today, we will discuss what are the different characteristics of these three types of analytics, and in our last many sessions, whatever we have discussed, so what can be classified under descriptive analytics, what can be classified under predictive analytics and what is prescriptive analytics. So now this is something which will help us in understanding the use of various software tools and in which particular segment of decision making which type of data is required, what type of report is required and what type of problem solving approach is required. Now the descriptive analytics, that is the first type of analytics we know. So now the one line answer for descriptive analytics is that what has happened. To know that what has happened, that is descriptive analysis. You are describing a particular situation. So what has happened, the story about that situation is your descriptive analytics. So narrating a particular environment is descriptive analytics. So this is the first type of analytics, that collecting the information and telling that what has happened. Now in this particular case, you gather data, you summarize the data and visualize large data sets to reveal new business insights, because what has happened, on the basis of that you are trying to get new business insights. So this is one type of analytics. So the most important thing is gathering and summarizing, and on the basis of that summary of large data sets you try to get some kind of new business insights. The other type of analytics is predictive analytics. What is likely to happen? To predict about the future. So one thing is what has happened, the other thing is what is going to happen. In this case, the descriptive data, using historical data, that is the descriptive data, to predict future outcomes, that what can happen in the future. If you remember that in our forecasting discussions, we have done lot many cases of time series analysis, where we have historical data and using that historical data, that demand was this much in a particular period, then demand is this much in a particular period and so on. We are predicting the future outcomes. We are extrapolating that what has happened in the past, similar things will happen in future also, and that is very very important, that you can predict the future on the basis of your historical data. So this predictive analytics will tell you that what is going to happen in the future, and it can use either statistical learning, which we have done when we have solved the questions of forecasting, when we have done the inventory analysis. So all these things are the statistical way of handling the predictive analytics. Or you can also use machine learning where you go with the help of lot of algorithm developed in the computer science, and with the help of those algorithm you try to predict the future. So, that is the second type of analytics. The third type of analytics is the prescriptive analytics. One thing is there, that is about past, that is your descriptive analytics. On the basis of this past, what can happen in future, that is your predictive analytics. But what should happen? One thing is, this is a natural course of action. If this past, the same trend is going in the future, so you will go to this place. But what should happen? We always look for a higher performance, better performance. So, how those better performance can take place, that is what should happen, that is the prescriptive analytics. That if I am, let us say, having in my supply chain the defects per million opportunity, that is one parameter, DPMO, defects per million opportunity. The current level of DPMO in my supply chain is somewhere around 2000. So, I will say that same level will continue in coming periods also. So, my predictive analytics DPMO is 2000, descriptive analytics told me. So, predictive analytics will say that since I am not doing anything special, so in the future also DPMO will remain around 2000. Some natural variations will take place, but it will remain around 2000. But the prescriptive analytics, because it is using operation research, it is using how you can improve your system, what should be the ideal thing, what is the optimized condition of the system. So, if I go with the prescriptive analytics, it will say that you should achieve DPMO somewhere near 5. You are having so many defects in your million opportunity. Why don't you go to the 6 sigma level, that is the optimized level of defects a million opportunity. So, the use of prescriptive analytics will help us to get the best outcomes. So, these are 3 levels of analytics. The easiest, the most common form of analytics which we all see, that is the descriptive, just giving a brief, a detail, or as per the situation, the complete narration about the something which has happened. Then the predictive analytics, since in every election we feel a condition of anti-incumbency. So, in this election also anti-incumbency will be there, and therefore, there are chances that ruling government will be changed by the opposition. But if I see from the ruling government side, how I can change this phenomena, how can I improve my performance so that the issue of anti-incumbency will not be there. So, that is the prescriptive analytics. So, these are 3 forms of our analytics: descriptive, predictive and prescriptive, and we have also understood that in which particular situation means what are the different characteristics of these 3 types of analytics approaches. In understanding these 3 analytics form, this table is a very useful table for us, because it tells you that what are the needs of the user and what user needs to know, and how analytics can answer these requirements of the user, and then what leaders do to make these things possible. So, on the basis of these 4 things, we will see the comparative discussion about descriptive, predictive and prescriptive type of analytical approaches. We have taken this from a source which is Aberdeen Group, and they are one of the pioneers in using analytics for the supply chain. So, this particularly we have adopted from this source. Now, what the user needs to know, do. User wants to increase cross channel fulfillment and shipment. That is what user needs to do. User needs to reduce the transportation cost, the inventory cost, the order fulfillment cost. These things user needs to do. User wants to predict. User wants to predict about infrastructure failure. User wants to know about the forecasting related to space and facility demands. User wants to predict cost and profits by customer, product transportation fulfillment, inventory stream, forecasting related to profit and margins. User also wants to predict capacities by customer, product transport, fulfillment, inventory stream and forecast capacities. So, user wants to predict these things, and user want some kind of optimized solution to increase asset utilization, optimize scheduling of the resources, remain agile and competitive, increase asset and inventory utilization, optimize efficiency and supply demand in phase with the shifts. So, all these things user needs to do. All these things user needs to do, irrespective of whether this is to be done by descriptive or to be done by predictive or by prescriptive. Now, you can also, to understand this, all these things can be plotted in a sequence also, and then we can classify out of that long list that yes, these 2 things can belong to descriptive analytics, these 2 things can belong to predictive analytics, and these where you want some kind of solution, where you want to have some kind of solution related to optimization, these things belong to prescriptive analytics. So, on the basis of that, we have already categorized that what the user needs to do. These are the things which form our descriptive analytics. These are the issues where we want to predict something. Obviously, these things are the part of your predictive analytics, and for those things where we want some kind of optimized solution in my supply chain, these are the part of prescriptive analytics. Now, what the user needs to know with respect to these things. Now, you can follow these columns top to bottom. So, with respect to these things which user needs to do, user needs to know the number and types of assets failure which has happened, why transportation logistic costs are high, what are the reasons that my transportation and logistic costs are high. Now, I need to collect a data if I am talking on this particular aspect, that why my transportation and logistics costs are high. Maybe I need to calculate the waiting time. If my truck is moving from Delhi to Mumbai, now in movement from Delhi to Mumbai, how much waiting time my truck is incurring, because there may be traffic jams, there may be some kind of toll system, there may be some kind of other accidents, some kind of unprepared incidences also, and all those things may count for 1.5 days of waiting time. The truck took from Delhi to Mumbai maybe around 7 days, and in that 7 days 1.5 days are the waiting time. So now I need to know these things if I want to see that why transportation and logistic costs are high. So if I have this data with me that 1.5 days are wasted in waiting only, so how can I minimize this waiting time, and that answer will come in the prescriptive analytics. But first I need to know that what has happened. So I came to know that on an average my trucks are wasting somewhere between 1.5 days to 2 days if they are going from Delhi to Mumbai in waiting only. So that is a non-value adding activity, and all these non-value adding things are increasing the cost of my operations, and therefore we will see that we need to eliminate these kind of non-value adding things from my system. So this is one example, but there can be many items in my dashboard which can be attributed for higher transportation and logistic costs. Maybe my truck can fail, and because of that my maintenance issues may be highlighted because I am not doing right kind of preventive maintenance, and therefore more breakdown maintenances are taking place, and as a result of breakdown maintenances I am incurring loss of due dates, and I have to pay penalty for that purpose, and that is also higher transportation and logistic costs. So all the items, what all item I can think of, whatever the point of generation of those data information, that I need to list, and then only new insights can be available from the same data. It is very interesting that same data is there, but some of us may be able to find new insights from that data, and some of us may not be able to see something interesting from that data. So it is important that descriptive analytics, where it looks very simple, that it is simply the presentation of past data, but at the same time if we can visualize that large data set properly, certainly new business insights may come from the same data, and that is what we are going to see. We also want to know the value of multi-party inventory. We have inventory not only from one source. In a supply chain we have inventory from variety of sources, and we need to know that what is the value of inventory from different sources, and therefore we can apply concepts like ABC analysis, which will come to prescriptive analytics. So you need to know the value of multi-party inventory, and this list is not exhaustive, by the way. You can add many more parameters, many more items which are very important from your point of view. Like in this particular case, I have not added one particular factor, that how many times you have given late supply to your customer. That can also be a very interesting parameter nowadays, because delivery speed is becoming day by day a very important criteria. So in last 1 year, that 30% of the times I was defaulter, I delayed by more than 2 days. 10% of the time I delayed my supply by more than 4 days. So this type of data is also required in some cases. In some cases it may not be required. So how many times you defaulted on the scheduled delivery dates, that is also important. Then how analytics gets the answer. For all these things you need to see first the standard reporting system. What has happened? Simply the presentation of data, that these are the waiting times, these are the defects per million opportunities, these are the lead times, and so on, whatever is there in your dashboard. So you need to give a fair description of all the data points that is the standard reporting. So, earlier in organizations we used to have a very detailed logbook type of system, and in that logbook we used to enter so many information, and these information were circulated to top management of the organization. So, that was the system of reporting. Then MIS came, automation started, and as a result of automation we started using computers for giving quick information to all the persons to be reported in that particular report. So, it enabled faster reporting of the descriptive analytics. Then you can also prepare query and drill down reports. So, this query and drill down report will help you to identify the exact location where is the problem. In my supply chain, from initial vendor to the customer, there are many stages. From initial vendor to final customer, there are many stages. You have a manufacturer, you have a warehouse, you have a wholesaler, you have a retailer, and then a customer. So, there are many stages, and to exactly the prescription, you need to know where is the problem, exact location of problem. So, it is very similar, it is very similar to medical science. When you have the exact location of the problem, then only you can provide proper prescription. Otherwise, you will be doing lot of hit and trial, and it will take lot of time to get the location of the problem and to prescribe it properly. So, query drill down type of reports will help us in locating the problem where it is, and then sometime, not always, some ad hoc reporting is also possible. Intermediate reporting, you can say, these are also required in some emergency kind of situation, that how many, how often, where, some very specific information in a limited format. These type of things are also given in an emergency situation. For that purpose, if you consider the case of humanitarian supply chains, disaster supply chains, in these types of supply chains, ad hoc reporting may be required, and in this ad hoc reporting you give very specific information about these kind of data, that how many units are required, how often, where, what is the frequency, where you need that type of medicine, where you need that type of blankets or other food items or other kind of help, etc. So, that type of ad hoc reporting is also part of your descriptive analytics. Then what leaders do to make this possible? As I was discussing, we need to see what are the alert items. You need to create some kind of signals in your supply chain which can give you some kind of alert messages. So, whenever something you may be knowing, because we have already discussed the inventory systems, when we discuss that basic EOQ model, in that basic EOQ model, you remember that we have a point of reorder, ROP. So, nowadays we have a system of Kanban. As soon as you reach to that reorder point, all of a sudden that green Kanban comes into picture, and it signals that now material is required. So, that is a kind of alert signal. Whenever you are driving a scooter and petrol is below a particular mark, you get an alert that your meter starts coming into the red side, so that you know that it is time to replenish the fuel, and these type of things are required. Some regular reports are required. You need to have some kind of dashboard items. You need to have a screen in your office, and that screen will have various dashboard items, and using those dashboard items you can continuously monitor the progress of your supply chain. And business intelligence can be used for that purpose, for creating the dashboard items, for generating the reports on the basis of your past happening. So, that is all about descriptive analytics, but all these are very mechanical activity. Mechanical means these are very routine type of activity, but now my exposure, my experience will help me to find something new, something interesting from these reports. We know the same test is being conducted by different doctors, but the specialist doctor, the doctor who has better exposure, he can find the exact source of problem, exact location of problem with the same amount of information, with same ultrasound, with same X-ray, with same scanning, and a doctor with less exposure may not be able to find the problem, may not be able to understand the location of the problem, etc. So, therefore, these reports can help a manager with wide exposure to develop better insights, or who understands the supply chain, who understands that market, who understands that product in a better way than a manager who is not so expert. So, that is about the descriptive analytics. Coming to the predictive analytics, in this case we want information for future. Based on this descriptive activities, we want to predict for the future, and it is more like a forecasting activity. So, you want to know, anticipate sales shipments for specific channels, assets, facilities, that how many products I will send through rail, how many products I will send through road, how many products I will send through air, etc. So, using different specific channels, when to consolidate underutilized facilities to expand the uses of them. I want to know this. I have so many facilities in my supply chain. Some facilities are warehouses, some facilities are factories, some facilities are my distribution points. Maybe all the facilities are not properly utilized. So, I also want to know when to consolidate some of the facilities which are underutilized, so that I can have a better use of those facilities. How to determine and segment costs to improve service level. I want to improve the service level of my customers, my down supply chain, and how to segment cost for that purpose, that is another thing which I want to determine. And then how to determine and rank baseline and future scenarios to improve service levels. These things are also part of my prediction for the future. And for that purpose, for knowing these things, for predicting these things for the future, the analytics will help with the predictive modeling. That is the most commonly used word, and time and again we have used the predictive modeling, that what will happen next, and then we do the trend forecasting. If the same trend continues, what is going to happen? We will do simulation again based on the past data. You have some observations of the past, and on the basis of those observations you will do the simulation exercises, and with the help of that leaders do to make it possible that we create different types of predictive models, better algorithms, so that we are more accurate about the future. We try to mix different type of trends and different types of you can say characteristics of our historical data to be more closer to the future, and all these things will help us continuously. Lot of mathematical researchers are involved to develop the methods, models of predictive modeling, for determining the issues which we want to know, which we want to do under the predictive modeling. And then coming to prescriptive analysis, where we want to optimize the use of our resources, and for that purpose we want to increase the asset utilization, we want to increase our customer service level, we want to reduce the wastage, and for all that purpose we are using optimization. The operation research tools are the best solution for the prescriptive analytics. You do the optimization, what is the best possible outcome? Earlier in the classroom discussion, we used to do optimization in a paper, but nowadays very good softwares are available, and because of availability of good enablers, the optimization, or you can say use of prescriptive analytics in supply chain, is continuously increasing. The optimization, and then for the purpose of what leaders need to do, we need to see that what are the rules of the business. When we are doing optimization, we take lot of assumptions. We try to simplify the real world so that a particular mathematical model can be developed. But the knowledge of real world game, business and process rules will help us to organize our models closely to the requirement, and then the mathematics, the prescriptive analytics will give us better results which are more responsive, which can help us achieving both these things simultaneously: agility, which is responsiveness, how fast you are responding to the customer's requirement, and efficiency in minimum possible cost, because these are the two important objectives of the supply chain. The whole discussion is revolving around these two words: our ability to respond to the customer requirements quickly, and in how much lowest cost you can fulfill the requirement of the customer. So both these things can be simultaneously achieved if we use proper optimization model with more real world conditions. So in this way, now we are clear about descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. With this, we want to close this session, and in our next session we will go that how predictive analytics in a supply chain can be used for the forecasting purpose. Thank you very much.